Former state representative and congressional candidate Adam Miller served 28 years in the U.S. Army JAG Corps as an attorney. He is a combat veteran with 2 deployments to Afghanistan and was the rule of law director for NATO and the U.S. forces in Afghanistan. He also served as a military national security advisor during the Biden administration. I sat down with him to get his take on what's happening now in the Middle East.
This is a regional armed conflict, and that brings in the international law of armed conflict, and that requires the United States and everyone participating to follow international law.
So tell me why our allies are saying this might be in violation of international law.
What I'm really concerned about here isn't just the lack of congressional authorization for a war that has gone way beyond something like a surgical strike on a chemical facility or a nuclear development facility. But now that we have expanding regional conflict involving NATO and the other global powers, we have to create not just humanitarian corridors, but we have to follow the law of armed conflict. And that means assessing what the impact on civilian populations will be. And having worked in the Pentagon, having worked for all of the divisions that are involved in this conflict, I'm concerned that we have not prepared for this adequately, and that brings me to the very real human cost of this situation. The Army Reserve Unit and those 6 soldiers that we must name, Declan Cody, Nicole Amour, Noah Tegens, Cody Korn, Robert Marzon, Jeff O'Brien, their names are mentioned because they've made the ultimate sacrifice. And it's so concerning to see the Secretary of Defense pretend that their sacrifice doesn't matter. So add my name to the list of people who want to see us remember the human cost and the extraordinary sacrifice before we talk about the academics of the law of war.
Iran is now firing ballistic missiles not just at Israel, but at other Arab nations in the region and even Turkey, a NATO ally.
Now that I'm retired, I can be a little more frank. We have annual exercises where the Department of Defense and all of our allies and partners rehearse likely scenarios. The fact that we are experiencing casualties at many of our bases along the Persian Gulf suggests that we could have been more prepared for this conflict. We should accept the offer of third parties, Switzerland, other countries in the European Union, to negotiate an end to this conflict. And the fact that we are not talking about the economic cost for our country, for Ohio, where we've had gas prices already shoot up 50 cents in 5 days. We're going to have housing costs go higher. We're going to have heating and electric costs. They're already way, way out of control. The administration is ignoring the economic crisis at hand and trying to distract us with another war.
But what about their argument that this was necessary, that this supreme leader was arming his nation with not only ballistic missiles, but attempting to have nuclear power? Shouldn't we have been concerned about that?
9 months ago, we evidently, according to the administration, destroyed all of their nuclear test facilities, all of their labs, all of their research facilities. So it calls into question the validity of the claims that were made after the strikes this summer culling. Did they destroy things, or were they misrepresenting that? Which is it? It's like the justification that they've offered for this regional war. It was going to be one thing, and now Marco Rubio says, well, it was actually something else. The president was wrong. They have got to focus on ending this conflict. And one of the things that the War College teaches us is the thing that we're the worst at is planning to end conflicts. We need to be working with our allies, and if they had given it more thought and more planning, we would have put together a United Nations resolution to confront Iran for its support for terrorism, for its support for terrible human rights violations, and held their feet to the fire through international diplomacy. The dollars that we should be spending should be to deal with the economic crisis here at home and to re-engage diplomatically.